morning, my silky friends. Good morning, Don McKenzie. You are up and at 'em already. Um, yeah, for all of the people who are looking for disturbing news, here it is. I'm going to bring you some very disturbing news, and let me just tell you, we're going to talk about a little bit of everything. Delphi is going to be in there, and some other disturbing news that I don't know. I feel like I'm already disturbed, so you I gravitate towards disturbing news. Please add to it. Uh, good morning again, baby daddy. Good to see you. I know you're following closely, as I am, all the stuff on Delphi. Hey, Pam Frenchman, how are you doing? Yeah. Look, I'm gonna put a disclaimer out here, okay? Right now. If you are not a outside of the box thinker, then you might be disturbed, okay, by some of the stuff and some of the stuff I say, because you remember, don't get the click mentality. All right, always search for yourself. This is so important to keep an open mind. Do not follow people blindly, okay? All right, and that's going to be across the board. Hello, Donnie. Donnie Pitbull Kuntz. Hello. Good to see ya. Yeah, of course I've been on my favorite place, which has become X. Who would have thought? I evaded Twitter for so many years and never really used it. I had an account. I've had so many accounts, and I didn't like it until the Delphi trial, and then it became very, very important. And I found that there are some things that I had no idea that were on X. But I go down rabbit holes. Um, so tell me, we'll start with that. Hello, Buckeye. How you doing? That's going to be a lot in my feed. It's going to be really. It's just the things that it's the things that I have found disturbing on a lot of different. So we may go back and forth some, but I need to talk. Like, I need to get this out, and maybe y'all do too. I don't know. I want to hear what you think. Just remember, we can agree to disagree. If you disagree with each other or with me, let's just keep it civil. Okay, let's keep it silky. Just me. Hello. Good to see ya. Yeah. So let me head on over there, because there's so much. Like, has this week not just really been poof? It's a flood of information, some of which I am happy about, and some of which I am quite disturbed. So I'm gonna kind of go down the line here. All right, I cannot show, because of the nature of this, I cannot show this whole thing. But, one of the things that President Trump wanted to do immediately, that he promised, is he was going to release a lot of info on MLK, JFK, what was the other one? All kind of stuff. So I have seen this video over and over, which there are a lot of videos, some which one of the guys said it took him 16 years to get this footage. And I can't show the whole thing, but I think we're safe here. And in this, they'll show some of a close-up. I've got to be very careful here. But if you follow me on Twitter or X, Silky Southern Tea, it's just T, not TEA, just T. Silky Southern Tea. And I'm sorry if I told you that wrong before. I didn't even realize. I didn't know. But you can definitely see something over in here. We've heard rumors for many long years that this was an inside job. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I'm just saying, look at the video, and they're gonna give you a little bit of a close up where this guy, the driver, turns around, and then you see the incident. You see him turn back around, and there is suspiciously something right here. So I'm going to play this. I think we're okay. Oh, no, we're not okay. All right. There we go. 12 seconds in. Uh-oh. But yeah, let me just say right now, if this video goes away, it will be on Rumble. Okay. I'm trying to be good. But you see right here, they're trying to give you a close up. Okay. Let me just get off of this video right now before I get into trouble. Where do y'all stand on that? Yes. Oh, you're listening while cooking breakfast. Dang, Pam, I wish I was with you. I haven't had a good breakfast in a long time. I love me some bacon and eggs, biscuits and gravy, some fruit, the whole 9 yards. Yes, it has been a crazy week. I don't know. Where do y'all stand on? Do you think it was an inside job? Do you not? When you look at and here's just where I stand at the moment, or where I have stood historically on this. There were a lot of very disturbing things that JFK said. He was opposed to some major things that other parts of the government were in favor of. So when you look at it that way, and then all of a sudden you have this, it's like, if he hadn't said, if he had been a go with the flow kind of person, if he had not been a thinker and very strong opinionated on some things, I would say, yeah, it probably, it was just, craziness. We know we've got the crazies out there. But there is another video that that shows, and I was just watching it this morning. I don't know that I reposted it, but it is of the, I guess, the Secret Service. I don't know, whoever is protecting the president. They're running alongside the car, and all of a sudden you can see that he is told to stand down, these guys that are literally running. And so he's like, he puts his hands out and he's like this, like, what? Like, what do you mean stand down? And so he stops. Well, if those people had been right there at the car, they would have definitely seen everything that occurred in that vehicle, right? Because they were right there. They would have seen somebody turn around. And I'm just saying, that is definitely yeah, I'm live. That is definitely something to be concerned about. I know, I'm snotty this morning, so. Okay, Pam Frenchman says inside job. Yeah, that's kind of what I've always thought. Let me go back to there. There's so much to cover, but there's a lot of stuff on X. Look, this one, I just reposted this because sometimes you need sometimes you just need a break, a mind break. So this guy says, if you're having one of these days when only baby goats in pajamas can help, here's some baby goats in pajamas. I thought this was the most adorable thing I have ever seen. So there you go. Has nothing to do with disturbing news, but it did make me smile. You gotta laugh sometimes. They look like they're loving those pajamas. All right. Let's go on to the disturbing things. All right. This is about, actually, I'm not going to cover this one because this is, well, let me just tell you this. If you're following the Brian Koberger, and I follow here and there, I really just don't have the time to deep dive, and I'm not going to go get as emotionally involved in any true crime case as I have Delphi. It is not good for mental health. So, But there is, if you're following, Storm OZ says, trust me, you want to screenshot my post because I know what BF exculpatory, and that's Bethany's exculpatory evidence is. Now, if you remember, she's the one that was downstairs and she lawyered up from the beginning. She hasn't talked about what she saw and heard. But they said the rumor has long been that she has exculpatory evidence for Brian Koberger. So, Storm says, she will testify that she heard 3 male voices, EC, that's being one of them. She heard yelling and furniture being moved around, and she has identified both males being from Sigma Chi and one of the males being involved in the fight with EC, that's Ethan, at the party that evening. Makes sense now why Ellie said it was a targeted attack from the jump, and SG's statement they didn't need to go upstairs makes sense now. Ethan and Xana were the targets. Now, I mean, if you follow this case, you know there's a whole lot of tomfoolery around this one. Almost as much tomfoolery as there is around Delphi, and things that just do not make sense. So I wanted to include that because what do we always say about Delphi and other cases? Follow the money. Sigma Chi, okay? That fraternity, we're looking at people with money. We're looking at school reputation. You know, there's a lot of stuff. There is a lot of stuff with that. Do y'all follow, by the way? Do y'all follow Idaho 4? Just interested to know because, I've done some. I did right in the beginning, I did several videos on Idaho 4. And I also I've done a lot with other people. So, I am no expert by any means in Idaho, but just interesting. Would not surprise me at all. Okay. All right. Let's go. Now, since we're talking about crime, let's continue. Have y'all seen this? Now, I know everybody's talking about the Ron Logan confession by, wasn't it Ricky Davis? That, where he basically gives some information that we were not aware of until trial. And so Excited Utterance posted this, and I was like, what? I've always been wary of prison snitches, but here we have some compelling reading from a man who seemed in 2019 to know a lot about Mr. Ron Logan, who owned the land where Abby and Libby were found. Just how much do you need for a nexus, friend goal? Look, that nexus could be the size of Wyoming and she would ignore it. I'm just saying. Come on, y'all. But if you look at this, let me see how much of this you can see. This is from a guy. His last name is Haas, I think. Haas. We'll get there. I think is it Jim Haas? It gets pretty graphic, I think, at times when I was reading it. But let me tell you what I see that these said. I might have to put my glasses on for this one. I don't know. It's hard to see regardless. All right. Oh my God. Hold on. Gotta clean the glasses. I don't even know how they get so dirty just sitting here. Okay. I don't have page 1. That is very interesting. I don't know where the page 1 is, and somebody was asking, does anybody have this? But this is given by another person who knew Ron Logan and says this is what this letter is about the double homicide. All right. He says, I know who did it. This is no prank or joke. This is where it gets bizarre. It started bizarre, but I was in the Carroll County jail with the man, and he's talking about Ron Logan, and he confessed everything. He told me things the public don't even know. So you want me to say it? Okay, he told me. All right. I got, oh, I can't talk about this. Okay. If you want to read the whole thing, you can't see it on the screen. Go over to my X and you can pull it up. But basically, he was reminiscing. How do I say this nicely? He was reminiscing about Abby and an incident. It is very sick, very sick. Um, but according to this guy, okay, is it true? I don't know. I don't know. We're just out here looking at stuff. I mean, but this has been around for a while, okay? So I'm saying, why didn't this ever come up, right? Um, so according to him, Ron was saying he needed to unalive a few more girls. And this guy, Jim, I think it is, I told the guards, my lawyer wanted me to be quiet about it until after my trial, which was a couple months later, I believe. He also told me and he goes into the description of the wounds that we know were on Abby, that she was almost completely, in this area. Again, stuff that we, as the general public, and even people looking into the case, did not know because everything was under a gag order. And he says, at the time, I was pretty upset. I did not tell the guards this part, but the only way for me to know this is him because they never let this out to public. He also said the reason for him being there is to get an ankle bracelet. Okay, so the only reason he's in jail is to get an ankle bracelet. They'll keep you so long. Like, I know this happens to a lot of the people that come through our facility. They spend so much time in jail, and then basically they put an ankle bracelet on them and let them go because they're monitoring them. Those ankle bracelets can be cut off fairly easily, but they immediately know. But this is what he said. He's there to get an ankle bracelet, which he has friends with he has been friends with the prosecutor's family for years, and he would for sure get it, and he did. Well, ain't that some stuff? Now, the next page says he said he was not worried, for his alibi was iron tight. He said, I went to a dump and to buy fish. And at this time, this was not public. Another thing public don't know. So how do I know? He told me. As long as he goes free, more money comes into the community, fundraisers, bike riders, you name it. They do not want that to stop. But all along, I am innocent, sitting in prison for something I never did, blah, blah, blah. Yes, it says James Haas, Haas, James Haas, as how I would pronounce it. He lives in Delphi, and he's talking about the perpetrator. He lives in Delphi. He is 79 years old. Girls found on his property. His name is Mr. Logan. Please listen. This is the truth. All right. So there you have Ricky Davis and you have James Haas, both saying the same thing. And HCC said, does anyone have page 1? Yeah, about this. That would be interesting. So according to him, this was in 2019. So we're talking about a long time ago, long before. I don't know when the fish story came out. I was not covering Delphi at that time, so I don't know. Good morning, Ninja Warrior Assassin. Good to see you. Hope everybody's coffeeed up. I hope you're not getting too much interference from this heater that is still 6 inches away from me because I'm freezing. Still freezing in Alabama. Winston. Good morning, Winston. I know that sounds terrible, but I stopped following the Idaho 4 because something about Kaylee's family constantly all over the media and their large GoFundMe rubs me the wrong way. I get it. I look, I just, it was one of those things. I had a choice. Richard Allen was arrested just a couple of weeks before Idaho occurred. And I did videos on both, and I had to make a decision which one am I going to cover. I chose Delphi. Um, yeah, I'm not sorry, but that's why, and I'm just, I'm not an expert on this. Hello, David Rogers. Haas is full of it. How convenient for the prosecution to have another distraction / deflection of the real perpetrators. I know, and I know to whom you're referring. A lot of people, let me just say this, all right? Because I am not only on probation from YouTube, okay? But I've had a lot of incidences in my personal life. Y'all know, if you're members, you heard me talk about it. So I'm going to be very careful in what I say. A lot of channels get by with saying a lot of stuff about other scenarios. Those channels are either faceless or you don't know who they are. Okay. Had I known what I was getting into, I probably would have done my channel differently. But yeah, y'all already know. So, I can't hide it anymore. So, because I can't do that, I cannot talk about certain things. Am I aware of other scenarios? Absolutely. Absolutely. And do I think other scenarios have merit? Absolutely, I do. You have to consider all things, and there are some very big problems that I have. And y'all know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, I don't know what to tell you. You have to look at, from the very beginning, just looking at any investigative case and profiling and the statistics, things like that. You come up with very interesting scenarios of who is the likely perpetrator. All right. And so I've talked about that before. So, I mean, you can't ignore that kind of stuff. It is definitely a thing. It's a thing. It's an important thing. Um, yeah, in essence, everybody is on probation. Yes, all the time, all the time. But I got that nice little letter saying, shut up. And you've got 90 days to prove that you can be quiet. So that's what I'm doing. Yeehaw. Free speech. We're going to get into some other stuff too besides Delphi. So you think, David, that this whole thing about James Haas, you think it's just a pile of poo, basically? Horse feathers? Is Keith Kellogg still in here? And or no, not Keith. He wasn't here. Fur baby daddy. Are you still in here? I'd like to know what some of y'all think, because I know where you stand on this, and I'd like to know if did any of y'all know James Haas, and is he credible? I've always said that I think Ron Logan knew exactly what happened, or at the very least, okay, that's the very least. I think Ron Logan knew what happened. If he didn't at the very beginning, I think he definitely did shortly thereafter. I mean, but now here are some things, and we talked about this whatever day it was I was live. We talked about why do you need an alibi for alibi for a time period that nobody knows there was a crime committed. You know what I'm saying? That has always been very, very sus. Now, does it mean he was the perpetrator? No. But it could also mean that he doesn't want to say or talk about what he knows happened. It could also mean that he is aware and he's not going there and he's keeping his mouth shut. Um, Now, there have been some other things on Facebook and some other groups talking about, um, and this is, again, this is hearsay. Kathy Shank's daughter, what is her name? It starts with a D, I think. Anyway, she has been, there are several things that have come up in Facebook groups where she talks about herself having um, ties to Ron Logan, and actually like she's kind of defending his honor, and she's like honor bound, that's the word she uses, honor bound, to protect him. So that's Kathy Shank's daughter. What on earth is up with that? Somebody tell me. It does look sus. Okay, it just looks like there's more to this pot of stew. um Okay, David. Yeah. Haas has something to gain by perpetuating a scenario that Logan was the perp. Once again, why would you unalive two people and then place them on your property? Yeah, there you go. There's that too. Why would you? Unless, here's the thing. I don't believe those girls were there that night. You're never going to make me believe those girls were there that night. The night of the search? No, absolutely not. 100% not. So where were they? Where were they? And how did they get there? And, I still question. It says, okay, you have to think about this. You go back to what everybody has said. It was staged. Okay, it was staged. You have to go back to early reports of where on the scanner we heard that they were found in the water. There are some pictures that kind of suggest that. But okay, maybe somebody was mistaken on the scanner. You can say, okay, maybe. But remember the press conference, where they're talking about the body. I've played that. I did a video on that where he says they were found in Deer Creek. He gets the name of it wrong. He calls it Sugar Creek first. And then but nobody corrects him and says, no, they weren't found in the water. The other two law enforcement officers, y'all know who I'm talking about, they're just sitting there. They correct him on the name of the creek, but not on the fact that the girls' bodies were found there. You see, that is a huge problem, and that is a huge discrepancy. Well, then you turn around and you see that law enforcement is saying the bodies were moved and staged. Well, if they were moved and staged, they could have been in the water, right? And were they on his property just because if you're going to move them and stage them, let me tell you something. I know from experience, a dead body, I'm a nurse, y'all that don't know me. That's how I know this. A dead body is very, very difficult to move, okay? It is extremely, way heavier. Even a little person is way heavier than you would ever imagine. So maybe 50 feet off of the creek bank is as good as they could get. Like, you can't be choosy, right? There's a lot of things that I think could be involved in that. Does anyone know what happened to Crime Circus guy? I don't. I was thinking about him the other day. It was about a week ago. I was thinking about him because there were some things I agreed with, some things I didn't. He certainly was entertaining and very knowledgeable. And he had like 2 channels, right? 2 or 3. I was subscribed, and I was thinking, funny you should say that. Just me. I wonder why I haven't seen that. But sometimes even my subscriptions don't come up in my feed, and I have no idea what's going on. I had one that never came up in my feed, even though I searched it out, and this was like the end of the year. And I'm like, okay, I guess there's nothing going on. Um, couldn't find it at all. It's weird. YouTube is a weird animal sometimes. I don't know. Does anybody know about his name? He went by Drip Drop. Uh, okay, Fur Baby Daddy. Let me see. I don't know anything about James Haas, but those confessions sure seem credible and specific to me for some reason. I mean, you do have to say that. Like, I go back and forth on this. I understand the nature of criminals, all right, and how they are and how they operate and what they're thinking. I just question the 2019. Okay, I question that because those things weren't known. That any of us had ever heard about in 2019 that I know of, unless you were an insider and you had friends in LE, maybe. The rest of it, I don't. You have to say, huh? If that is true, and this letter is true, obviously he's in there, and I can see this is what gives me thoughts. Okay, this is just my thinking. It may or may not be true. But knowing the nature of criminals and the fact that he's writing this letter, but at the end of it, he's like, basically he's griping and whining. I don't understand why this guy gets an ankle bracelet and he's going to get out after he did this crime, and I'm sitting in here for something I didn't do. Now, whether he was guilty, I don't know. I don't even know this guy. I don't even know what he was charged with. But that is exactly the mentality of a prisoner or an inmate of any kind. Exactly. So that rings very true to me. It's the it's almost like I'm just even not going to say that because somebody will get mad at me. But it's the nature of inmates to think that way. Okay, this guy just confessed and he knows all these details, and yet here I am sitting here in jail. This is not fair. This is something that you hear a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. That part does ring true to me. So I'm like, I don't know. And I don't know, David. I understand what you're saying, and I don't know this guy. I never heard his name before. I saw him on X. Um, let's see. Let me keep going. Okay, Ninja Warrior Assassin says that Drip Drop is still on YouTube. I maybe it's just that we haven't seen anything. It could be the algorithm. Sometimes you have to specifically search it out, and like I said, you don't always see it even then. Okay. Hello, Margaret. Rick, James, and RL should have all been questioned in depth. Someone knew something. 2 against 1, telling or RL knows or found out. Then on later. Same for the other 2. I mean, I will say this, even though I do not believe at this point that Rick Allen is guilty of anything, he should have been. That was a huge mistake on the part of LE. Because as far as you have somebody who says they were there, why wasn't he questioned in depth then? I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I don't think he was guilty, but I definitely think that you shouldn't wait for 6 years to come up with some tip and say, "Oh, gosh darn it." I think maybe there was more discussion on that than was in the report because we don't even know, right? I've heard that report came from Doolin. I've heard it came from somebody else. Like, I don't know. All kinds of contradictions in that. And then he didn't write it down right, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking that when Doolin or whomever took the original report from Rick Allen, that there was something in that statement, in his statements, that made them believe that he was not the perpetrator. And that's why he wasn't questioned deeply. I think it was like I think they cleared him a long time ago. But then they needed something to come up with, right? That's my opinion. That's the way it looks. Um, oh, okay. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad Crime Circus is okay. Hey, Low Light. Thank you. Yes, hit the like button if you haven't. That helps a whole lot. Low Light, email me. Let's do a show together. We'll talk about something. Y'all don't know Low Light Recovery. He's got a channel. I think you said the other day you're really not doing anything on it, but he is very soothing to listen to. He's on Rumble. Uh, you're welcome to come. We can come talk about anything. It doesn't have to be Delphi. Hey, Samantha. Yeah, it's okay. Look, I appreciate my mods so much, but honestly, y'all, most of the time, everybody behaves themselves on this channel, and I love that about this crowd. Um, Nina says, and it'd have to be an able-bodied, abnormally strong 79-year-old. Yes, to do it by himself. However, that being said, Ron Logan was because of his lifestyle and taking care of the animals and being the kind of person he was not I wouldn't call a regular 79-year-old by any stretch. But it does make you wonder, how did you do this by yourself? I don't know. David, if anything else, Logan had the drop on someone involved and was silenced for it. That is very likely. He allegedly died from complications of the beer virus, but like anything else, Carroll County, dead men tell no tales. Yeah, see, I have long suspected that there was something, and even to the point that I thought maybe the bodies were returned on his property to hold it over his head, so to speak. Like, we could always tie you to this, so you do what we say. Does that make sense? It happens. It happens. So that has always been a potential theory of mine. Yeah. There's a lot with that. But again, I think Ron knew way, way more than he ever said. Now, whether he was involved, but here's the thing, y'all. This is the problem. Whether Ron Logan did it or didn't do it, the problem with Delphi now is that this was information that was not allowed in court. Okay? The problem is the defense was never given the opportunity for a third person scenario, which is supposed to be guaranteed by law, right? So whether it was the Odinist or whether it was somebody else, in some underbelly dealings, or whether it was Ron Logan, there was never any evidence presented to the jury to give them reason to think that there could be another perpetrator, which is like, you can't look, you can't. That is not our due process. That is not the way court works. And they were never given that opportunity. Had the jury heard that there was viable evidence, testimonies, you had not only Ron Logan, but you had Elvis Fields confessed. Now you have this letter from James Haas. Like, there is a possibility, reasonable doubt, especially when you don't have any good solid evidence against Rick Allen. Even the van that we all said, hey, we knew about that. Now you got the video out there of them showing that what Brad Weber says about the time that he got home and he was out there with the van is bogus by about 15 minutes. All right. So you have major discrepancies. This stuff should have been allowed. And it's part of that motion is, and people are talking about this legal term. I can't remember what it is, but basically the prosecution has a responsibility to let you know that this evidence is untrue, or somebody speaking and giving testimony is untrue. Did that ever come up? No. No, it didn't. They knew, dadgum well, that that video was out there showing Brad Weber's timeline as bogus. And they also knew about the confession from, or statement from Ricky Davis saying that Ron Logan confessed. This was all evidence that if it was given to the defense, and remember they said they got it just willy-nilly, uncategorized, tons and tons of stuff that they had not enough time to go through. I believe, in my opinion, the prosecution did that on purpose. So hoping and crossing fingers, they're never going to find this. They're not going to have time for this. We've mislabeled it. Or, they don't think this is anything and they don't have time to check. Man, don't you wish that we had been involved? Hey, just spread that information out about among some of us. Let us go in and deep dive. We'll tell you if it's, truth or crap. Let's see, low light. If Logan had committed the crime at his age, it probably had a very detrimental effect on his health with all the stress. Probably did. He it was happened in 2017. He passed away in early 2020, early 2020, something like that, 2021. According to, though, I will say this, according to his ex-girlfriends, more than one. Sorry, can y'all hear my stomach rumbling? Pam, I need that breakfast. But you would think, according to, I can't even remember now. Like my stomach, it got me off. I don't know where I was going with that. Sorry, y'all. Brain freeze. But yeah, I do think it had a detrimental effect on him. I know what it was. According to his ex-girlfriends, he was a very violent person. All right. Very documented charges against Ron Logan over the years. He was not a chill person, okay? And he did show violence on many occasions. David Rogers, keep in mind Holman lost 70 hours of interviews. Yeah, exactly. And I don't understand, as a jury member, this is why I'm like, I could have been unbiased on this jury. But that's my first big red flag. You lost 70 hours or 70. No, it's 70 days, isn't it? 70 days. All that stuff's gone and you're not that concerned and there's no log. Like, come on. That would have been my first. And I would never, as a juror, I would never have gotten over that. I would never have said, I can believe what the LE are telling me, because you have screwed up the first 70 days. And there are things that we will never hear. And there wasn't even an explanation. They couldn't even tell you, oh, who was interviewed? We don't know. Well, what if in that first 70 days, you did interview Rick Allen and it was completely 100% clearing him? I'm not saying they did, but like, what if it had been in there? What if you had talked to him and it was very apparent by something that he said that he could not have been the perpetrator? We don't know, because it's missing. That is a big red flag of corruption, in my opinion. Margaret says, could the girls have been harmed on land, then placed in the water? Yes, I think so. Also possible if found in Deer Creek, but crime scene photos suggest on land and sticks. Ellie may have thought drowned, strangled. Possibly. That is the thing, though. When you say it's staged, when the Robert Ives said the bodies were moved and staged, wasn't it him? I know it was law enforcement of some kind. The bodies were moved and staged. Well, how come nobody is talking about that word moved? Moved from where? moved from the water, moved from a vehicle, moved from. We have no information on that word moved and staged. So you obviously knew they were moved, and I'm assuming you had a good idea of where they were moved from, right? We're all concerned about staged, but not about moved. So if you're moved and the original reports say it was in the water, then like, oh my God, now we have a load of other problems because people were up and down the bank the night before. Mike Patty said he was in a canoe going up and down on the river, right? Up and down the creek. Nobody saw him, again, in my opinion, because they weren't there, neither in the creek nor on the ground. But you can't be moved and staged without giving me an explanation of where you think they were moved from. Staged could have been staged. All of the Odinist stuff could have been staged by somebody who had a little knowledge. I don't know. Again, things the jury were not made aware of or that was not pronounced out there. Hello, Jane Darby. I have moved tons of deceased bodies, also dressed / difficult. It would be extremely difficult to dress wet clothes over wet clothes on the ground. Take a lot of time. Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, y'all, you ever been swimming and tried to put, even you just got a bathing suit on, just trying to put your blue jeans on up over your bottoms and you're wet, it's a struggle. Yeah. It would have been very difficult. In the timeline that they gave for Rick Allen to have committed the crime, met up with the girls, committed the crime, done all of this, crossed the creek, dressed the girl. Look, no. That timeline is crap. There is no way that you have. I'm just going to tell you this. I don't believe you could have crossed the creek on February 13th. It was cold. Have y'all ever been in extremely cold water? I mean, I have. Accidentally, you're walking along and somebody pushes you, and like all of a sudden you're in freezing cold water. Look, you remember the ALS ice bucket challenge? When your body hits that icy temperature, your muscles freeze. That was the whole point of that. It was, I didn't like any of that kind of stuff. But the point was, when you're hit with cold water, your muscles freeze. You're going to tell me you can chase two girls or drag them or whatever you did across that cold creek in February of 2017? No. The snow just melted like that creek. Your legs would literally stop moving. You would not be able to cross the creek. And certainly, if you could, you couldn't keep up with two teenage girls. I mean, the physics, the logistics of that is ludicrous. Roberta. Hello, Roberta. We're talking about the Delphi case, but we're going to be talking about some other things too. Good to see you. Roberta comes from my other channel. If y'all like paranormal stories, true stories and stuff, have spooky Southern tea as well. Let's see. David Rogers says, bingo, 7 years passed, then voila, new evidence. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What I don't understand. RL plus Rick inmate and James inmate, not RA. Are you just saying because both of the inmates were the ones that said he confessed? I mean, yes. Okay, low light. My email is silky and southern at Gmail. Just hit me up. We'll think of something. Let's see. Yes, there is that. See, and that's going to go in my series of Delphi. Wasn't there a rumor of one of the Odinist guys staying with him? Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of ties to Logan and the Odinists, okay? We know that's been out there. Things that the jury didn't know. And I'm probably not going to film that any of that series until this weekend when I'm off work and have a brain. So, um yeah, Samantha, I am too. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the altered footage being admissible. 100%. 100%. Why? Why is it? I can't even with that. Um, yes, absolutely. Logan's dad, Brad, stayed at Ron Logan's frequent. Actually, Logan was there frequently. There were big ties to Ron Logan and the Odinist. Is that why they? I mean, then you have to go back to the Odinist angle. Is that why they kept that secret and they wanted to protect Ron? Because he already knew? I mean, it's kind of like a big circle, it's a big loop. But guess who isn't in the loop? Richard Allen. Not in the loop. He's out over here doing his, regular life. Um, so he doesn't have any ties. He can't tell on anybody because he doesn't know. He's not part of that circle. But according to James Haas, the prosecutor is. My. Hmm. Shocker, right? Um, yes, I agree, Jane. The voice down the hill and the video does, he looks like BG. Yeah, he certainly does. I mean, doesn't mean he is, because honestly, that video was altered. But yes, again, something else, David, that people didn't know about in that trial is not only Ron Logan's potential involvement, but the fact that the McCain brothers, and there was a big land dispute going over there. The McCains lived over there. And then you had the Webbers. Like, look, it was a big bunch of crap going on. Again, who wasn't involved in any of that? Richard Allen. Um, let's see. Margaret says, still believe the underbelly is possible with or without involved or helping. Uh, yes. People are in denial. Um, look, yes, and talk about the break-ins. Yes, there was a lot of break-ins prior to that. Who somebody did a video on that. Might have been TCD. Interesting how many break-ins before this incident. And the connection between robbery, or not robbery, but break-ins, burglary, and unalivings. All right, let me try to catch up with what y'all are saying. But very good point, Margaret. Robert Ives was key. No time of death was officially determined. The phone powered off at 2:32. Everything after is still in speculation mode. Yes. Yes. We really don't have a good timeline, and the one that the state provided us has now been debunked, if you're going to believe Brad Weber's testimony. It's everything about this case was crap. From the very beginning, it was very apparent that the crime was not committed in the middle of the afternoon, just right there down from Monon High Bridge. Like, from the very beginning, that is what screamed to me. This is bogus. This timeline is bogus. The girls were not there. Um, at least the unaliving, I can say that 100%. I have my doubts about all of it. But can I say 100% the girls were not unalived in that spot? Yes, they were not. Not at that time. And if they were, those 3 cell phones that geofencing caught, they're the perpetrators. If that is true, then those are the perpetrators. Period. Right? That's why they didn't want that in court. They didn't want the geofencing out there because they would have to admit either one of 2 things. It was these 3 people who were in the area that were the obvious perpetrators, or our timeline is crap, and we know it because we know the girls weren't there. You can't have both. So you want that evidence suppressed because you do not want them to know about those 3 people, right? Because that would make them guilty. I'm not saying they are guilty. They could have been 3 innocent people roaming around the woods at that time or along the creek at that time, having nothing to do with the crime. But if you have a fake timeline, then you're going to have to say that these people were involved because they were there. Unless you know your timeline is fake. And then you have to suppress that evidence because you don't want 3 other people that you know are not involved. See what I'm saying? You can't have it both ways. It's just like when the logic of this case is like, hello, are y'all literally insane? Do you expect us to believe this? Okay. All right. Yeah, let me keep going. And I know y'all know I could talk about Delphi all day, but what time is it? Yeah. Let's go back to X. Let's talk about some other stuff because it's very, very important that you know, and I want to share it with you because I want you to be disturbed as I am. Man, I'm going to save this for another one because this is more Delphi. I'll do another show maybe this weekend. I'll do a show where there's no time limit and we can just talk Delphi. What about that? All right, I want you to understand this though. Okay? This is a off of the Delphi subject, but let's look and let's watch what is going to happen. Okay. Progressive Insurance is canceling insurance policies in the area due to high wildfire risks. Okay? All right, you understand. This is how insurance companies work, sort of, right? This is the same area where there are plans for a 15-minute city. This area is also close to where Bill Gates bought 30,000 acres of land. So what? Wait. Let's talk about this because you remember what happened in other places? Insurance policies canceled, wildfires, everything destroyed, or maybe like, in North Carolina where there was the huge hurricane that comes through inland on the western side of the state and destroys it. People buying up land. Okay, so here's the proof. I don't know, you probably can't see all of this on yours, but it basically is saying, dear policyholder, your policy will expire at 12:01 a.m. on 2/15/25. Okay, so this hasn't happened yet, but they give the wildfire risk as the reason. So let's vet this. So here we go. Update. Let me make sure you can see this one. Yeah. So this is March 5th of 2020. This report comes in saying that Bill Gates has purchased 24,000 acres outside of Buckeye in Arizona. Let me see. He spent $80 million to purchase more than 24,000 acres of land. Man, just have $80 million, laying around. Hey, I think I'll buy some property. With plans to build a smart city. So this is why he did it. He wants to build a smart city, which will include housing, schools, offices, and retail. Since the purchase, there has been limited information on the development of the project. Well, why wasn't this big news? Like, why wouldn't we have been interested in something like this? Bill Gates bought all this land in Arizona and he's building a smart city. Like, what does that mean? What are you doing? I don't remember seeing this or hearing this. Oh, but let me think. It was March 5th of 2020. What was the news March 5th of 2020? Wow, you really only heard one thing on the news. We are going to close everything down, right? That's all anybody was talking about. Anybody was looking at. This kind of just slid under the radar, right? Do I think it's sus that now in 2025 they are canceling all of these policies? Could it just be a good business move? Possibly. I'm just saying there are several places that people are saying, some strange things are happening. Could our city be the next target? Let me go back to where I can see what you're saying. Yes, that was the reason, Roberta. Um, Samantha says Gates bought properties and military bases all across the country. Yeah. And other places, remember, we've watched it over and over. That's why, y'all, be aware. This is why I'm saying it's easy to get distracted by other news that we really are interested in, such as the Delphi case, such as the Idaho, for any of the other things that are going on in the world. But look, don't let things fall down. Okay, Delphi. I did want to say this. Y'all know how much I have talked about Western North Carolina. Finally, I retweeted this because it looks like they're finally going to get some relief. I have been so upset. Y'all know I have done several videos and an interview about the mess over there. Okay, if you didn't know this, this is interesting. Now, right before Joe Biden went out of office, his last day, he preemptively pardoned Fauci. What is a preemptive pardon? Well, according to the law, really, you can't preemptively pardon somebody. You can only pardon somebody who has been charged with a crime. As far as we know, Fauci was never charged with a crime. However, Joe Biden pardoned him and a lot of other people preemptively. I'm like, how's that happen? Can I get one of those? Like, can you just pardon me for anything I may do in the future? Just give me a clear slate. I mean, that's weird. That's weird. But now, if you were concerned about that, I thought this was interesting. Putin is asking for extradition. Part of the deal with the Ukraine, right? Peace deal. Now, if that, I don't see how the preemptive pardon would hold up, but if it did, we couldn't do anything. But guess who could? Putin. If we extradited him. Did y'all hear that? Because I was like, what? What? They say it's fabricated, but some people say it's fabricated, but the pardon is absolutely true. Would Trump do that? I think he would. I just do. I think he would. Okay, now this is y'all. I got so upset about this. Let me tell you this too before I let me go back to what you're saying. Because let me tell you something that I found, and y'all might have seen it. Yesterday, my daughter comes, in here, and she's all upset, and she's saying, "Did you know that they have outlawed? They have taken the Bible out of schools and libraries, and they've banned it. It's on the list of banned books." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Trump did this." I'm like, "Okay, hold on. Give me your source. Let me look it up." It is true that there is a ban on the Holy Bible. However, I'm like, all right, let me ask the questions that we all ask. When did this happen? When was the Bible put on the ban list? June of 2024 or 23. No, I think it was 23. June of 2023 or 24. You can look. So, I did not know that. Did you know that the Bible was banned from schools and libraries? Or is it just school libraries, whatever? The place where they need it the most. People take their pew-pews in and they're, what but did y'all ever hear that there was a ban on that? Because I didn't. And now it makes me ask, okay, if you banned that, what did you not ban? Are there other religious books, guides, whatever, that you didn't ban? So, yeah. That made me think, all right, there's something we didn't know. So let me go back to, let me pull this up for you. Let me go back to this. My flabbers were gasted when I read this. This is an actual memo written and released by DHS. Now, if you can't see this, it's very, if you'll look at this, and if you don't want to follow me, this one comes, I can't even say that on YouTube. You can see who this is by, but I also reposted this. Get ready to hold on to your britches, okay? And I may have to filter some of what I say since I'm on probation. But this is I'm just reading from the Department of Homeland Security. This is who they are saying are domestic extremism. Hold on just a second. Let me hold on. She's on a roll. My dog. All right, so these are the things that are described as being violent. What? This is crazy. If you can't see it, military veterans who have fought in foreign wars and are disgruntled about the takeover of the U.S. Okay, so now you can have fought for your country, been injured for your country, and you can be disgruntled. Like, we can all be disgruntled. I usually wake up a bit disgruntled. Okay. But you're talking about veterans that are disgruntled because they don't like the way things are going. This is what we say are extremists, domestic extremism. And you have to be careful of these people. Anti-war individuals or groups, okay? Tax resistance movement. If you have said, like a lot of people have said, hey, federal income tax was only meant to be for a short period of time. You were not supposed to tax your own people. This was not meant to be a forever thing. If you've ever looked into it and realized what it is and had that belief, you are a domestic extremist and you need to be on their list, right? They're watching you. The militia, members who oppose most federal and state laws. I mean, I can kind of see, like, you get some craziness out there. I can kind of see that. Depends. Love this one. Alternative media. Hello. Your girl's a domestic extremist, okay? Which provide interpretations of events and issues that offer radically different from those presented in mass media outlets. Wow. I disagree with what the MSM is saying. Dang. Alternative media. Is that why I'm on probation? I mean, it kind of is. Opponents of open borders policy. By the way, if I disappear from here, I'll be on Rumble, so know where to look for me. Opponents of open border policies. Okay. If you don't agree with open borders, then you are an extremist and they are watching you. Single issue groups or individuals who focus on a single issue or cause, such as what? Animal rights, environmental, or anti child unaliving, baby unaliving. I can't say that word. If I have a single cause, even if it's animal rights, what? I don't get on a platform and talk about it. Patriot movement, a term used by the right wing. So we can't say we're patriots. Christian, also things like if you read on here, Christian patriots, patriot groups, or constitutionalists. If you uphold the Constitution and you believe that it should be followed, you are a problem, according to DHS. Wow. It says the DHS has established dozens of fusion centers in cities and states across the country to monitor domestic activity. And remember this when I'm going to come down hard on something that happened this week, and I am not okay with it. Local, state, and federal agents from DHS, CIA, and DOJ share information. Really? They're all sharing information about the activities of citizens? Like they're all watching me? Oh my goodness. Wow. It's a fusion center. Okay. And if you're a person, this is in the green, frequent references to the Constitution. Oh my God. I can't even talk about the Constitution now. Support of third party candidates. Support for an audit of the Federal Reserve. Oh my God. I can't even ask where's the money going? Even though you are, is it billions or trillions of dollars that you can't reconcile at the end of the year? Like you're short. Like, oops, I don't know. Where'd that go? I don't know. It's here somewhere. You really, you think my bill collectors would, you think the government would say that to me? With taxes? Like, oh, I don't know. Like, you say I've gotten $1 million from, I don't know where that went. I don't know. I have no records of it. Come on. What? Opposition to a carbon tax. That'll get you in trouble. Opposition to U.S. submission to the United Nations and the World Health Organization, which we are now no longer a part of. But these were the things, right? The FBI's Intrigue program. I don't even know what that is, but they're collecting data on you. They're working within the private sector with businesses, and they're tracking our suspicious activities. Like, oh, I believe in the Constitution. I believe in animal rights. I am being watched. You domestic extremist, you. My God, is that horrifying for you? Because it's horrifying for me. Let's see. Let me see what y'all are saying. Buckeye says, if you bought a Bible in the last 4 years, you are probably on a list somewhere. Probably. Like, Buckeye, there's so many reasons I could be on a list. Like, I mean, so many. it's like, yeah, you tell me if they show up, I'll be like, okay, what violation? What violation are you talking about now? Samantha. I'm probably on so many lists, there would be people going cross-eyed from reading my name. Yeah. Yeah, I know that about you, Samantha, and I'm right there behind you. You probably do a much better job than I do, but I'm definitely on that list. Hello, Shay Watson. Good to see you. David Rogers. Ship Fauci to Russia. I'm saying. Oh, thank you, David. Thank you. That's sweet. I appreciate you. You know I do. Um, yeah, you would think the list would be reserved for really dangerous people. Yeah, well, apparently we are, Samantha. We are the dangerous people because we dare to think and we dare to express. Shay, we are talking about, if you're just now joining us, we are talking about, um, well, we started talking about Delphi, and didn't I didn't like do this stream this way, so I'm like, y'all know I could talk about Delphi endless hours, endless. So I kind of bumped bumped out of that, and we're going through things on X that are disturbing that you uh, should know. Shay Watson, I know I've been on a government watch list for a long time. Yeah, let me tell you something. I think I mentioned this before. My daughter, and look, I understand what she said was actually I don't see how it was this. It was she was just being an honest little child. She was on what was she in first grade? First grade, she said something to another child. It was not a threat. It was not. Look, it was a stupid kid comment. All right, but when they and for this, I am very amazed at her. They brought to her attention, her teachers brought to her attention that this was probably an inappropriate comment. All right. It wasn't like cussing or anything like that. It was on their kids. All right. She said a kid thing. And not the brightest thing to have said. But when they confronted her and they're like, do you even know what this means? She explained that she did know what that meant. And then they said, well, you need to apologize and say you're sorry. And she's like, no, no, not happening. I'm not going to do it. So, I don't know where she gets that from. But anyway, she goes, and the school calls me, and they're like, hey, we've got a problem here. Your daughter said this. And I'm like, okay. Well, I mean, it's just not threatening anybody. It's not like that or anything. It was a, and I can't even say what it was. And I'm like, okay, so I understand she should not have said this. And I'm thinking it's just a phone call, like you need to address her. So I'm like, okay, I understand your position. And I'm like, rolling my eyes. And, but they can't see that because I'm on the phone. And I'm like, okay, I will address this and I will explain to her that that was not the best thing to say. And she doesn't need to say that. Things like that again. And they're like, no, you don't understand. She has been on the, can't even say this word, the hairstylist. I'm trying to think there's something that ends in like it. The watch list, you know? She is on the T watch list. And we had to, and the school is telling me, I'm sorry, but we had to put her on the watch list because of what she said, which again was no threat to anybody. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? They're like, yeah, ma'am, because she said these words and she does know what they mean. And she wouldn't apologize for saying this. She is now on the watch list. I'm like, my God. What? She's 6 years old. And now she's one of those people. She's on the watch list. I'm like, okay. I'm not coming to the school. I'm not talking. You put her on the watch list. That's fine. I'll talk to her. Whatever. We're done. We're done with this conversation. So for years, while she was in school, I'd be like, you better not do that. You know what kind of list you're on. You already been on that list since you were 6 years old. It's insane. It is insane. But yet, there we were. There was never any other trouble through the years, but, you know, You're going to take a stupid statement from a 6-year-old and put them on the watch list. But apparently, so now I'm like, I'm looking at this definition. I'm like, guess what? I guess I'm on that list too. They're watching me. They're watching me. I already know they're watching me. Okay. The events of the past few months have made me understand for sure they're watching me. But whatever. All right, David. I'm sorry I missed that. I hope you have a great weekend. Shay. Oh, Shay's on the government watch list too. Hey, there you go. Oh, what? Look, you can. Oh, let me see. Shay, you're gonna have to send me a DM or something. You're on a paper. I don't know. Where'd you get the list? I want to know. I want to know who my fellow comrades are. We're all on the list. I don't even know what list that is. I'd love to find it though. Good morning, Carol. Good to see you. Hush, Mina. Anyway, let's go back. I've only got just a few more minutes. We're going to wrap this up, and I didn't get even close to the rabbit holes I wanted to go down, and that is basically because we got to talking about Delphi, which I know y'all love. I love it too, but especially now, a lot going on in that case. All right, here we go. Here's a train of thought. This actually is from Fox News. I can't play it, but this is Tucker talking about Watergate and the CIA FBI op against Nixon. So here you go. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so this is the chain of events. The CIA unalives JFK. The Warren Commission absolves the CIA because they already know, right? We've been saying, people have been speculating this for years, whistleblowing for years. Nixon knows that the CIA unalived JFK, and he also knows that they're not gonna get in trouble for it. 4 of the 5 Watergate burglars work for the CIA. Oh my. The CIA frames Nixon for Watergate. Now, I'm not saying Nixon was a great person on him. No. I was a tot. Okay? I was a tot. The CIA frames Nixon. Actually, for some of this, I wasn't even alive. But they frame Nixon for Watergate. Ford is chosen as Nixon's replacement. Ford was on the Warren Commission. Wow. You see, it's just too bad that we didn't have internet sleuthing at this time, because instead of Delphi, we would be yelling about things like, hey, did you know Ford was on the Warren Commission? Like, we'd have had this down. I give it 24 to 48 hours, and the web sleuth would have had this all together and have been blasting it on social media had it been a thing back in, what was that, the early 70s maybe? They definitely would have been blasting that, saying, hey, hello. You understand why people are the alternative media people, why we're on that domestic extremism list? Yeah, because we want to tell the truth. We want you to know the truth. So, yeah, there you go. Interesting. I thought, very interesting. And this is something that, again, is I don't know. I don't get it. How come some people are not copyright stricken for playing things and I am? So I'm just not even going to go there. Let's get past this because this is Delphi. Again, a lot to talk about still. Delphi. All right. Of course, this was the executive order to declassify JFK, RFK, and MLK Jr. That should be very, very interesting. Now, I will say this is where I'm going to get controversial for some of y'all people. And I can't play this not because of copyright, but because I can't play it on this channel. So we'll probably be talking about some things like this on Rumble. I just haven't figured out how to connect and go live there yet. All right. And let me just say there are two things before we go that I find very disturbing. One is, and these are both things, again, y'all think. Do not, just because you support somebody or just because you believe in most of what somebody is saying, do not let your brains fall out of your head and run around the yard with scissors. Okay? You always have to question. It doesn't matter who it is. Always question and find out facts and consider, not just, okay, I heard that, but I don't believe it. Like, keep an open mind. There are some very dangerous things that I feel like, I mean, look, it's been a week. The government, it's been craziness. Um, it's been a week of some wonderful things, but there are two things that very much concern me. One is the AI, the money being given to AI technology for surveillance, right? AI, have you looked at that? And I probably am going to have to talk about it on Rumble. There's billions of dollars being given for AI technology surveillance. Do you understand that that is a big problem? It is a really big problem. Like, I AI is incredibly horrifically smart. And the more, if you watch some of, like, months ago when I did some shows on humanetics and even on here about AI with Brain Bungler. And Brain Bungler, if you'll remember, was all for AI. He's like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" He's like, "This is great. I love the AI. I love the stuff." I don't know what you just did. Okay, now my lights are going nuts. Um, he's like, "There's nothing to fear," and I'm over here saying, "Hey, you don't understand. Like, I already see red flags in AI, and there are some aspects of AI I absolutely love." But even now, just a few short months later, I had a conversation with him about a week or so ago, and he said, "I am terrified of AI. Now that I have really seen some stuff, it scares me." So if and there are great apps and things that I use, and I'm like, "Hey, I love AI. Yes, it makes my job easier in a lot of respects." I'm not blind. And even those months ago when I was arguing, yes, there's some benefits. There's a lot of benefits. It is terrifying what AI can do. And we're just on the tip of the iceberg, right? And whatever we know that's available to us, you think about the other powers that be that have not released. So now you want to give all this money to AI technology and surveillance. And I'm like, I am having a breakdown. I'm sorry. I have to think freely. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because I know how powerful AI is, even on a low level. And you want to make it stronger and you want to watch everything we're doing? No, 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 sir. That is not okay. That is not okay with me. Oh, you sent a photograph to my email, but be prepared. Oh, okay. Should I look at it now? Not like open online, but should I look at it now or do I need to wait, Shay? Um Buckeye, whoever is surveilling me will find my activities a cure for insomnia. I live the most boring life imaginable. Well, the thing of it is I'm not, I'm just giving my opinions. Here is me, a free thinking person, talking about things that I believe to be true or untrue. But what's concerning, Buckeye, is even the most dull things that you can imagine, whoa, they could absolutely end you. It doesn't matter because I used to think that too. I used to think, well, I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm just hello, Sachi, hello, Sach. Who would be interested in surveilling me, right? I do my job, I go to work. The problem is if you have an opinion of any kind that is not in favor of what, the powers that be, whoever those powers are, if you oppose that in any way, yeah, you're in trouble. That is a problem. Um, okay. All right, Shay, y'all are just going to see me for a second. I'm going to go to my email. I'm looking for it. Did you send it to? Let me look in my Let me look and see if it went into my spam folder. Either it hasn't gotten here, Shay. It's not in my spam folder. Oh, I did see this though. Hey, look at this. Breaking news. This is according to the New York Times. Dr. Fauci is stripped of government security protection. Whoa. Because he had threats? Of course he did. I'm just reading this real quick because sometimes I get flagged by the New York Times as well. Why? I don't know. It says President Trump canceled Dr. Anthony Fauci's government financed security protection on Thursday night. Trump. That's the way he says things. Quote, "You can't have it forever," he said on a trip to North Carolina on Friday. Okay, then. All right. Yeah, I may share that article later. Wow. Let me look one more time. Let me refresh it. Okay. Shay, because I'm not seeing it. It didn't come through. Let me go back to what you're saying. Oh, on that one. Okay, I have to look at that one on my phone. Okay, on my other email address. No, my Proton one is probably the best. Yeah, I just don't use it. I have to sign in a different way. I don't use it on my computer. All right. Well, we'll talk about that. All right. One more thing I'm concerned about, and then I'm gonna leave. I'm concerned. Man, I got a lot of Delphi stuff in here. Tons. We're gonna have maybe we'll have a good discussion on that this weekend. Yeah, if it's talking about AI and the money going to the AI creators, just know that there are some things, and I can't even, you can read the words, I can't even tell you because I can't talk about it. But there are some new medical treatments that they're talking about to protect you from cancer. Can I say that? Really, really have to be careful. There are new things that they are trying to, according to the government, new medical. I can't. It's hard when you can't say any words. Medical things here. Let me let you see. Oh, you weren't seeing it. Hold on. Sorry. Let me get some of this on here that you might be able to see.
Time. Loved ones is a way.
Okay. Anyway, there's new medical research going on that would suggest that a jab could prevent a disease that is a known problem. Okay, I'm trying to find another. Yeah, I can't. I can't with this. I'm so limited. However, it is one of those medical treatments that is very controversial. It certainly is for me. And I am very, very upset that this particular thing has come up. And I am wondering, it gives me a big red flag. All right. I am a medical person, not a fan. Okay, not a fan. All right. And I'm sorry I'm talking in circles. It's just because I'm on probation and I can't say what I want to say. What I am saying is this: at the end of the day, I don't care who you support politically. I have my opinions. I voted the way that I wanted to vote and that I felt the best about voting. Am I blind to corruption on any level? Will I follow someone blindly? No, I will not. And I think it's important because let me just put it this way. My daughter and son in law were over yesterday and they said, Mom, look, we're getting really nervous about this, this, and this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm nervous about this too. Like it don't look good. I'm not gonna lie, it don't look good. And they're like, we think we need to get out of the country. Like we're talking about just moving to another country, and I think we should all do that. And I said, I've considered that. I honestly have considered it. But let me tell you why I won't. Because most, and I'm sorry, but it's the truth, most other countries are going to conform with pressure. I said the only people who will not conform and will fight back, even if we eventually get suppressed, the only fighters that I know of on this whole ball of dirt are Americans. Because we're just rebels. We are. It's in our DNA. We're going to question some of us, not the majority, but the minority are going to question. I said, I don't see that from other places, like groups of people really banding together and say, hey, let's cut out the BS. Let's question the narrative. And I know some of y'all from other places are very much that way. I have some followers and subscribers from all over the world. And I know you're the thinking ones. You are. Just because you're questioning. But it's important that you don't follow any political leader, any pastor. Okay, we've talked about that a lot. Like, don't follow any religious, political, whatever, blindly. Y'all, ask questions and stay vigilant because sometimes people just make mistakes and they're like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Let me sign that. And then it's a big mess. Okay. Sometimes it's intentional. I don't know in this case, but what I'm saying is you're talking about two things. You're talking about a medical treatment that can change who you are on a molecular level to try to prevent things. I'm like, first of all, have y'all not remember the beginning of the movie I Am Legend? Like, remember how that whole thing started? Like, hello? Uh, y'all need to go back and watch the first 3 minutes of that movie. And then the other thing is the AI. I am not comfortable with that for so many reasons. So many reasons. All right. We will talk about Delphi again soon. I promise. Oh, it's in my Facebook Messenger. I don't even have that pulled up. But I will. We'll talk about it. I'm going to look at it and we'll talk about it. You're right, Shay. We're always the first boots on the ground, whether it's our fight or not, because we can. So far, you're right. So far, we can. But how much longer can we? Well, in my opinion, it's a lot up to us to not just say, yeah, I'm going to follow this. I'm going to go with this narrative because I trust this person. Look, don't be dumb. Ask questions. Doesn't matter. You can trust them all you want, but still ask questions. Samantha says, in other words, do not idolize any human. 100%. That is what I'm saying. Just because I want to trust and believe that things are going well in our country or starting to go well in our country does not mean that my brains have fallen out my ears. Okay. I'm still going to think and I'm still going to question because I don't know. Honestly. We probably should have been backing off several fights ago. Um, I don't know. I don't know. You could be on the watch list like me and Shay. I don't know. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. Do you like watching news or hearing about things that are not on mainstream media that I feel people need to hear discussion on, because I want to hear your opinions as well. If you disagree with me, that's fine. We can disagree. We can still be friends. Um, I want to hear another point of view. I want to explore all avenues because I want us in the end to be safe. You safe, me safe. Let's see, because you can't wait until something is like a big snowball rolling down the hill before put up a tennis racket and say, okay, let's stop it. I mean, it's not going to work. You got to talk. You got to know. You got to stay vigilant, right? Yes. Hello, two ears, one mouth. Any good leader will tell you to question and research them. Yes. 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 100%. Great. Good to see you. I've got to go to work. Again, my schedule is going to be changing. So, by the way, if I called any of y'all, I had a just so you know, my smartwatch decided to be stupid last night at work, and I'm doing stuff, and I look down, and it's just calling all kind of people, and I'm trying to stop it. It was insane. If you got a call from me last night, I was at work. My phone was going nuts. But yeah. Let's not forget. Let's talk. Question. Discussions make better decisions. Yes, 100%. Um, Next week I will still be on the same schedule where I'm working second shift. But then after that, I'm going to be back on first, but my days are going to vary. So, look, I'm just going to say, I don't have no idea when I'm going to be on here. Day, night, weekend, weekday. Who knows? Who knows? Just hit the notification bell if you want to be part of these discussions. I'm glad you enjoy it. I think it's really important. I mean, we could be talking about anything. I love to have a good time. Love it. Could be talking about some of the ridiculous news that I have so much fun laughing at. But I want to spend the majority of my time talking about things that we need to discuss. We need to be aware of and spread that awareness. Because if only 2% of the population knows about it, the other however many percent that may agree and be horrified as well will never know if somebody doesn't speak up. So that's what we're trying to do. All right. I hope you have a great and wonderful day. This is Friday. Yay. Thank God. I will be on sometime this weekend. Promise. Don't know what day. Maybe both. Who knows? Who knows? I hope you have a great one. Hope it gets warmer here and wherever you are. Whatever you do, stay silky. Bye bye.